Hello, Internet! It's time for Chapter 5 of The Marvelous Land of Oz, Book 2 in the Oz series. I'm excited. Are you excited? We should all be excited. Look, I'll show you the Munchkins. They're excited.
I'm sick. I can't look very excited.
Say hello, Munchkins.
Hello,
There's my wife. She's beautiful.
Hello.
She's not paying attention. But we're going to read Chapter 5. And then, I'm excited. All right. Last night, if you recall, they sat down on like a wooden sawhorse, and Jack Pumpkinhead noticed that it kind of looked like a real horse. So Tip was like, I wonder if I can bring it to life with this powder of life stuff. And he did. And the horse came to life right as the chapter ended. So let's find out what happens in Chapter 5, The Awakening of the Sawhorse. The Sawhorse, finding himself alive, seemed even more astonished than Tip. He rolled his knotty eyes from side to side, taking a first wondering view of the world in which he had now so important an existence. Then he tried to look at himself, but he had indeed no neck to turn, so that in the endeavor to see his body he kept circling around and around without catching even a glimpse of it. His legs were stiff and awkward, for there were no knee joints in them, so that presently he bumped against Jack Pumpkinhead and sent that personage tumbling upon the moss that lined the roadside. Tip became alarmed at this accident, as well as the persistence of the sawhorse in prancing around in a circle, so he called out, "Whoa! Whoa there!" The sawhorse paid no attention whatever to this command, and the next instant brought one of his wooden legs down upon Tip's foot so forcibly that the boy danced away in pain to a safer distance, from where he again yelled, "Whoa! Whoa, I say!" Jack had now managed to raise himself to a sitting position, and he looked at the sawhorse with much interest. "I don't believe the animal can hear you," he remarked. "Why, I shout loud enough, don't I?" answered Tip angrily. "Yes, but the horse has no ears," said the smiling Pumpkinhead. "Ha! Sure enough!" exclaimed Tip, noting the fact for the first time. "Well, how then am I going to stop him?" But at that instant the sawhorse stopped himself, having concluded it was impossible to see his own body. He saw Tip, however, and came close to the boy to observe him more fully. It was really comical to see the creature walk, for it moved the legs on its right side together, then those on its left side together, as a pacing horse does. And that made its body rock sideways like a cradle. Tip patted it upon the head and said, good boy," in a coaxing tone, and the sawhorse pranced away to examine with its bulging eyes the form of Jack Pumpkinhead. "I must find a halter for him," said Tip, and having made a search in his pocket, he produced a roll of strong cord. Unwinding this, he approached the sawhorse and tied the cord around its neck, afterward fastening the other into a large tree. The sawhorse, not understanding the action, stepped backward and snapped the string easily, but it made no attempt to run away. "He's stronger than I thought," said the boy. "Rather obstinate, too." "Why don't you make him some ears?" asked Jack. "Then you can tell him what to do." "Well, that's a splendid idea," said Tip. "How'd you happen to think of it?" "Why, I didn't think of it," answered the Pumpkinhead. "I didn't need to, for it's the simplest and easiest thing to do." So Tip got out his knife and fashioned some ears out of the bark of a small tree. "Mustn't make 'em too big," he said as he whittled, "or our horse would become a donkey." "How's that?" inquired Jack from the roadside. "Why, a horse has bigger ears than a man, and a donkey has bigger ears than a horse," explained Tip. "Then if my ears were longer, would I be a horse?" asked Jack. "My friend," said Tip gravely, "you'll never be anything but a pumpkinhead, no matter how big your ears are." "Oh," returned Jack, nodding. "I think I understand." "If you do, you're a wonder," remarked the boy. "But there's no harm in thinking you understand. I guess those ears are ready now. Will you hold the horse while I stick 'em on?" "Certainly, if you'll help me up," said Jack. So Tip raised him to his feet, and the Pumpkinhead went to the horse and held its head, while the boy bored 2 holes in it with a knife blade and inserted the ears. "They make him look very handsome," said Jack admiringly. But those words, spoken close to the sawhorse, and being the first sounds he had ever heard, so startled the animal that he made a bound forward and tumbled Tip on one side and Jack on the other. Then he continued to rush forward as if frightened by the clatter of his own footsteps. "Whoa!" shouted Tip, picking himself up. "Whoa, you idiot! Whoa!" The sawhorse would probably have paid no attention to this, but then it stepped in a leg into a big gopher hole and stumbled head over heels to the ground, where it lay upon its back, frantically waving its 4 legs in the air. Tip ran up to it. "You're a nice sort of horse, I must say," he exclaimed. "Why didn't you stop when I yelled whoa?" "Does whoa mean stop?" asked the sawhorse in a surprised voice as it rolled its eyes upward to look at the boy. "Course it does," answered Tip. "And a hole in the ground means to stop also, doesn't it?" continued the horse. "To be sure, unless you step over it," said Tip. "What a strange place this is," the creature exclaimed, as if amazed. "What am I doing here, anyway?" "Why, I brought you to life," answered the boy. "But it won't hurt you any if you mind me and do as I tell you." "Then I will do as you tell me," replied the sawhorse humbly. "But what happened to me a moment ago? I don't seem to be just right in some way." "You're upside down," explained Tip. "But just keep those legs still a minute, and I'll set you right up again." "Right side up again. How many sides do I have?" asked the creature wonderingly. "Several," said Tip briefly, "but do keep those legs still." The sawhorse now became quiet and held its legs rigid so that Tip, after several efforts, was able to roll them over and set them upright. "Ah, I seem all right now," said the queer animal with a sigh. "One of your ears is broken," Tip announced, "and after a careful examination, I'll have to make a new one." And then he led the sawhorse back to where Jack was vainly struggling to regain his feet. And after assisting the Pumpkinhead to stand upright, Tip whittled a new ear and fastened it to the horse's head. "Now," he said, addressing his steed, "pay attention to what I'm going to tell you. Whoa means to stop. Get up means to walk forward. Trot means to go as fast as you can. Understand?" "I believe I do," returned the horse. "Very good. We are all going on a journey to the Emerald City to see His Majesty the Scarecrow, and Jack Pumpkinhead's going to ride on your back so he don't wear out his joints." "I don't mind," said the sawhorse. "Anything that suits you suits me." Then Tip assisted Jack to get upon the horse. "Hold on tight," he cautioned, "or you may fall off, crack your pumpkin head." "That would be horrible," said Jack with a shudder. "What shall I hold on to?" "Why, hold on to his ears," replied Tip after a moment's hesitation. "Don't do that," remonstrated the horse, "for then I can't hear." That seemed reasonable, so Tip tried to think of something else. "I'll fix it," he said at length. He went into the wood and cut a short length of a limb from a young stout tree. One end of this he sharpened to a point, then he dug a hole in the back of the sawhorse just behind its head. Next, he brought a piece of rock from the road and hammered the post firmly into the animal's back. "Stop! Stop!" shouted the horse, hoarsely. "You're jarring me terribly." "Does it hurt?" asked the boy. "Not exactly hurt," answered the animal, "but it makes me quite nervous to be jarred." "Well, it's all over now," said Tip encouragingly. "Now, Jack, be sure to hold fast to this post, then you can't fall off and get smashed." So Jack held on tight, and Tip said to the horse, "Get up!" The obedient creature at once walked forward, rocking from side to side as he raised his feet from the ground. Tip walked beside the sawhorse, quite content with this addition to their party. Presently, he began to whistle. "What does that sound mean?" asked the horse. Don't pay any attention to it," said Tip. "I'm just whistling, and that only means I'm pretty well satisfied." "I'd whistle myself if I could push my lips together," remarked Jack. "I fear, dear father, that in some respects I am sadly lacking." After journeying on for some distance, the narrow path they were following turned into a broad roadway, paved with yellow brick. By the side of the road, Tip noticed a signpost that read, 9 miles to the Emerald City. But it was now growing dark, so he decided to camp for the night by the roadside and to resume his journey the next morning by daybreak. He led the sawhorse to a grassy mound upon which grew several bushy trees, carefully assisted the Pumpkinhead to alight. I think I'll lay you upon the ground overnight, said the boy. You will be safer that way. How about me? Asked the sawhorse. Won't hurt you to stand, replied Tip. And as you can't sleep, you may as well watch out and see no one comes near to disturb us. Then the boy stretched himself upon the grass beside the pumpkin head, and being greatly wearied by the journey, was soon fast asleep. So there's a really cool picture here of the group of travelers as they're laying down to go to sleep. You see the sawhorse up top, and then Jack and Tip laying down. I'm going to show the Munchkins the picture. And them going to sleep is the end of chapter 5. Tomorrow night, Monday night, we've got chapter 6, Jack Pumpkinhead's Ride to the Emerald City. So tomorrow night, it sounds like we're going to get to the Emerald City. Woohoo! I'm excited. I'm enjoying this book. It's different from the first book. We haven't met any of the characters we know already. But it sounds like we're going to get to the Emerald City and maybe we'll meet the Scarecrow. And then I get to use this voice, and that's exciting. So I'll see everybody tomorrow night. Munchkin, say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night, everyone. See you tomorrow.